Hi there and welcome to a quick revision talk through from English Tutor, and in this video we're talking through the Edexcel iGCSE topic on America 1918 to 1941. This is from the paper 2 topics. So in this video we're going to talk through some of the content for the first section about the economic policies of the Roaring Twenties. So I'll talk you through some of the economic changes and some of the successes and failures, and then do use my revision guide to revise your notes in more detail and then practice some skills. I have some questions in there. I'll have videos tutoring you through how to answer those questions successfully. Also, you can take a look at those on my YouTube playlist and find lots of videos there with more talk throughs and more tutoring videos helping you through to success. Now, let's revise our knowledge on the Roaring Twenties. Let's start our talk through about why was there an economic boom in the 1920s. We need to consider the impact of the First World War here. So the USA benefited by loaning money to European powers and by selling supplies like food, clothing and weapons to the Allies in the First World War. And the USA was able to take over traditionally strong German areas of trade like chemicals and dyes and medicines. Of course, the German industry, when blockaded by the British, was not able to export to the world. And of course, they're probably selling to their own army mainly anyway during the war. So America's economy was not damaged by the war like other nations as well. It's not a frontline nation, of course. And so they could have the boom in the 1920s. They were not rebuilding factories and trying to recover from the war. Another thing to consider about why the boom took place is development of consumerism. America was virtually a fully employed society in the 1920s. This meant people had money to spend and buy goods. Inventors developed new gadgets and products for people to buy, for example, vacuum cleaners, cars, radio, telephones. All these things became a lot easier to buy. In 1927, 70% of homes had electricity. This meant more people could buy these electrical goods for their homes. Also, we can consider factory production developing to create the boom in the 1920s. So mass production using the assembly line developed cars and goods could be made quickly and cheaply with low-skilled labour. Factories dominated industry. For example, car factories used 20% of America's steel and 65% of all the leather, and this meant that they were making huge amounts of products for people to buy cheaply. Also, the rules around buying things changed. Hire purchase and credit became easier. Credit rules were made simpler, allowing hire purchase, or we might call that HP. People could pay for expensive items in instalments. 60% of the cars, for instance, were bought on HP. People could pay in monthly instalments. Also, advertising and shopping malls really helped the boom develop. Adverts became a key part of life. Billboards, cinemas and radios all included advertising. As towns and cities grew in the suburb areas, they started to add shopping malls around them and shopping centres. And of course, purchasing from catalogues also became popular. So using things like radio adverts, they could advertise these catalogues and all the things they could buy. The impact of government was important as well. Republican governments did a lot to encourage trade. They lowered taxes. They added the Ford-Macumber tariff to make American goods cheaper than foreign goods. And they cut business taxes so they could spend more money on growing their business and creating jobs. Republican governments were known as laissez-faire. In fact, they were called the do-nothing governments. They did not interfere with business and allowed them to flourish and prosper. There wasn't too many rules put in the way of businesses. What about Henry Ford? One of our key ideas to look at. We can have questions on Henry Ford, and he's in the specifications. So make sure we know all about Henry Ford and how this helps create the economic boom. Henry Ford's first car was a Model A, and he only made $37,000 from this. But Henry Ford wanted bigger profits, so he developed an assembly line for making cars in 1913. Workers did not need to be highly paid or highly skilled, as they just specialised in one thing, like putting on a door or putting on a window or putting on a wheel. This meant they could be paid a lot lower wages and the cars could be cheaper, and also the cars could be made a lot faster. So the Model T developed out of this. This was made using the assembly line. It's a very basic car, only one style of engine, only available in black, very simple design. It's led to more cars being built and the price dropping. In 1928, the Model T cost $295 from around $800 in 1911. By 1928, Ford had sold 15 million Model Ts. They're also known as the Tin Lizzies because they're a little bit fragile. So what was the impact of Ford and Model T on America? So firstly, job creation. With the fact there were 20 million cars now on the road, many of which were Model Ts, 50% in fact, this was going to lead to lots of jobs. The car industry became a major employer, 500,000 people employed in these car factories. It was estimated that 10 times more worked in the wider supply chain and in road building. Of course, there's 20 million cars, you can need mechanics as well and servicing, etc. Lots of jobs created. We've also got a more mobile lifestyle changing and helping to create more of a service sector in the economy. Americans began to move around more for work and holiday. Motels, gas stations, restaurants sprung up to cater for the needs of the mobile Americans. People now had more freedom Wealthy people with cars moved to the suburbs. It's not quite what we call white flight in the 1950s yet, but clearly people can live in the nicer areas and start to drive to work. So consider this fact file to memorise around the boom years of the 1920s. You could think about cars went from 9 million to 26 million. Ford made around roughly 50% of all of them, and even exported 25,000 tractors to Russia. 75% of cars were bought on credit. 75% of all glass was made for cars. In the 1920s, 1 out of 5 Americans had a car compared to 1 out of 43 in Britain. Radios. By 1922, there were 500 radio stations. In 1929, 10 million radios were sold. Radio stations make huge profits like NBC. Telephones went from 10 to 20 million. Production of refrigerators rose by 150%. As we talked about earlier, 63 to 70% of homes had electricity by the end of the 1920s. US manufacturing rose by 40% and was 61% of all US exports was its manufacturing. However, you could talk about wealth distribution being very uneven. The richest people had most of the wealth. That takes us on to the winners and losers. Farmers are one of the big groups to consider here. They'd made money out of the First World War by supplying food to Europe. Many expanded their farms and bought machines on credit. But in the 1920s, as global farming recovered, there was an oversupply of food and prices dropped. US farming income dropped from $22 billion to $13 billion in the 1920s. Many US farmers could not afford to pay their debts. They'd bought this expensive equipment and expanded their farms. So by 1924, 600,000 farmers lost their farms to bank debt. They couldn't pay their loans. Within that farming group, we can drill down even further. We can start to analyse a little bit more. We can see that African American farmers and sharecroppers are more badly affected than others. African American workers in southern states were often farm labourers, so many were sacked as farms struggled. They were the first ones to lose their jobs. Also, many African American farmers in the South were sharecroppers. This meant that they worked for a white landowner and shared the crops. Due to the drop in prices, landlords removed sharecropping farmers so they could have all the profits. So again, more displaced African American farmers. So many African Americans migrated to towns and cities looking for work. Often they lived in slums and only found very low paid work. Failure of old industries as well here. So we've got manufacturing doing really well. Some of the old industries are now going into decline. Coal mines suffered as oil and gas replaced coal in people's homes. And of course, the increasing amount of electricity. This led to mines closing and unemployment. Cotton and wool industries declined due to man-made materials like rayon becoming popular and a fashion for shorter dresses developing, of course, and less material was used. This led to a drop in profits and also worker wages. Poor and working class people could be still badly off in this time period, particularly as low-skilled work took over. Unemployment remained a problem in the 1920s. It never fell below 5%. There was always this small amount of an underclass who were unemployed. Increasing mechanisation of factories meant fewer skilled workers, and therefore, as I mentioned earlier, lower pay. And in Chicago, for instance, steel factories would often be seasonally unemployed when there was no factory orders. Despite the fact the car industry was doing very well, orders could tumble, particularly as we get towards the latter part of the 1920s. However, for many workers, the boom meant they had a job security and could use their wages to buy consumer goods. They could get loans and hire purchase because they were in guaranteed employment. So what about the middle class and rich? Well, businesses could boom and flourish in this time. The richest 5% of people had 32% of all the wealth. Consumerism meant that middle class people could benefit from setting up businesses and working in finance and sales as the service sector developed. 29% of middle class people owned a car compared to only 3% of poor, semi or low skilled workers. So they were a lot more mobile, could start to have that suburban lifestyle. Middle class and rich people also got involved in shares and investments. They could invest in the stock market. By the late 1920s, around 20 million people owned shares as an investment. They could invest by buying on the margin, as it's known. They used loans to invest in the stock market. In most cases, they would sell the shares, pay back the loan, and have a profit. Of course, this is what causes some of the stock market problems when it crashes. In 1929, there was a stock market boom, made many people rich if they sold shares at the right time. For example, radio shares went from 94 cents to 505 cents in just 6 months. Okay, well, if you found that useful, don't forget to subscribe to my channel if you haven't already, and also take a look around my YouTube videos. You'll find tutoring videos that help you, but also talk through videos. And if you're finding all this useful, why not get my revision guide to help you through the whole process? Well, hope to see you again soon. Bye bye for now.